Reboot Camp videos 8 and 9 go together. I'm looking at the COVID-19 pandemic and huge problems like it through the lens of encouragement that Jesus gives each of God's people, that we are the salt of the earth and the light of the world. In number 8, Provide Salt, I talked about the salt of the earth component, and now in number 9, I'm talking about the light of the world component. The thing is, the world is always going to have problems. If there's not a pandemic, there's going to be a war. If there's not terrorism, there's some other kind of violence. If there's a lack of compassion and justice, then there's going to be a struggling economy. There's always some mix of something going on. It's always happening. I have to confess to you that I actually delivered the core of this lesson to my home Sunday school classes 4 years ago, because the message applied then and it applies now. At the time, ISIS was at its peak. We were all concerned about violence by and toward police, and we were fiercely debating the Supreme Court ruling on gay marriage. And the thing is that what I said then applies now and will apply 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 50 years from now, 100 years from now. Jesus' words ring true through the centuries. Now, what I want to do is take a look at what problems that we face during times of turmoil like this and an approach to facing those problems. I created Reboot Camp to inspire our faith during this time of isolation and prepare us for entering the world again. Along the way, I have changed my intended topics to adapt to the changing conditions of the COVID-19 pandemic. Cecil Taylor Ministries is focused on teaching Christians how to live a practical 7-day faith. So in each Reboot Camp video, I'm stating a faith problem and recommending a remedy and how to put it into practice. This is number 9 of the 12-part series. We can feel helpless during the COVID-19 pandemic. Routines have changed. Churches can't meet right now in many places, and that's where we meet together to draw strength from the presence of others. And direct contact with those out in the world that we might help is being discouraged. It can be a time of despair. Despair is defined as hopelessness, a complete loss or absence of hope. Despair is the opposite of hope. We can feel sadness or depression even. For some people, despair is a temporary condition. For others, they live lives of despair. There's a darkness that can hang over us. My mother-in-law talks on a dark and stormy day about how it's gloomy, gloomy, gloomy. I talk with people in multiple countries, and I sense in them right now a gloominess, a heaviness, a darkness in their moods. We can fall into this pattern of darkness and gloominess and hopelessness. And the question is, what is the way out? How can we dispel despair? Fortunately, despair and darkness can motivate us. Travis Frederick recently retired as a center of the Dallas Cowboys football team. As an athlete and celebrity, he was often asked to get involved in charitable projects, and one time he was asked to pass out some free meals. Frederick said, "I'll always remember that first kid in line. It was a moment of despair in my heart when I saw how excited he was to get that meal." Motivated by the event, Frederick went on to form a nonprofit called Blocking Out Hunger. Jesus said, "You are the light of the world." And then he said, "Let your light shine before others so that they can see your good deeds and praise your Father in heaven." Light. Light is visible. Light is a beacon. Light is guidance. Light is cutting through the darkness. Light is your next good deed. And during this time of crisis, be motivated to do good deeds and bring light. Some people are physically bringing light right now. They are shining Christmas lights, hanging them outside their houses in order to symbolize hope in the midst of darkness. Maybe you'll get involved in some cause. Maybe you'll be motivated by a problem you see during the pandemic, and maybe even you'll continue going on with it after the pandemic is over. Or maybe it's not a cause as much as a philosophy that you find, that you want to treat others with value and respect, that you want to engage others, that you want to bring light into someone's life. In every circumstance in this COVID-19 crisis, the Christian is called to bring light. We are called in our role to dispel despair, to bring hope, to bring guidance, to bring action. So what does it practically look like to live a life of light during a crisis like this one? Well, with your light, be visible somehow, some way. Let the crisis energize you rather than wearing you down. And be of the mindset that instead of having this despair and darkness and hopelessness, that you will bring the light of hope.